If you're exhausted and overwhelmed all the time, you're going to have to quit your job to feel better. Not your actual job, the one you were hired for, but your second job, the one that's probably taking up just as much time as your first job and even more mental and emotional bandwidth than your first job. That second job of performing a version of leadership that goes against all your natural leadership strengths. That's step one. Step two is something that I've actually been doing pretty naturally for close to 10 years at this point. And I've been informally coaching and advising other people to do the same thing. But I've only recently realized that I should actually probably make this a formal part of my coaching process because I think it's one of my superpowers as a leadership coach. And that is you have got to stop taking your job so seriously. You've got to lighten up. You have got to loosen the grip. You have got to accept that your job is just not that big of a deal. You can think of it however you want, either that your job's not that important or you're not that important. Not that you're not that important. You are very important. As a human, you are very important. So maybe just that you're not that important to your job because you're not. Sorry, you're just not. Your boss, your team, your friends at work, your colleagues, they might be sad if you leave, if you quit, whatever the situation is. They might be sad. They might be really upset, actually, but you will be replaced probably within just a few weeks. You will be replaced at work without much fanfare around it. You will never, however, be replaced at home with your family, with your friends. You will never get that time back with them. You will never get the time and the peace back with yourself that you're losing by giving too much to your job that will replace you within weeks. So if you're miserable, if you're unhealthy, and if you are on the brink of burnout, no, you don't have to quit your actual job, your first one. You do have to quit that second one, but you do have to chill out. And for the love of God, do not attach your self-worth to your job. Again, you're just not that important. I'm sorry. You're not. Your job's not. You're not. Whatever. You're not that important to the job. I'm sorry. It's just the truth. It's a hard truth, but it's the truth. As a leadership coach, I just want to make it super clear. I am not telling you to stop caring about your job. I am telling you to start caring less about your job. There is a distinct difference. And I do practice what I preach, both for myself and even for my team. I literally even give this advice for my team. Just recently, one of my direct reports casually mentioned in a team meeting, it was the team meeting before she was leaving for vacation, and she made a comment like, well, just let me know if anything, if you need anything, I'll have my laptop with me. And I was like, whoa, what? Wait, no, you will absolutely not have your laptop with you on vacation. And she was like, well, yeah, it's no big deal. I'm going to bring it. I'm like, no, you will not bring your laptop with you on vacation. I actually almost made a joke around, I was going to joke around like dinging her in a performance review if I found out she brought her laptop. But I'm very glad I caught myself because I borderline on unprofessional sometimes. And that technically would have been a threat. And even though it would have been a joke and she, I'm sure would have realized I was joking, I'm glad I didn't say it out loud because I'm sure it would have been officially an HR violation of some sort. My point being, I haven't brought my laptop on vacation in, again, probably close to 10 years. There is no way it is acceptable for anyone on my team to bring their laptop on vacation. First of all, we're in learning and development. We don't have learning emergencies. We are not saving lives here. I say that all the time. We are not saving lives. So my question for you is, do you take your laptop on vacation? Does your boss expect you to take your laptop? And even if you think they do, like, is that really true? Or do you just assume that they expect you to be available 24/7, even on vacation? Or maybe is that an expectation you put on yourself? I just want to challenge you there a little bit because I'm the boss and I don't expect that of my team. I was actually pretty mortified that she was going to take her laptop with her. And it made me reflect, like, what am I putting out some sort of signal that makes her think I would want her to have her laptop on vacation? So I made sure I could not be more clear. Like, no, that is a hard no for me and everyone on my team going forward. So just think about that. You're maybe making some assumptions there or putting that expectation on yourself. And let's talk about being busy. Being busy is like a badge of honor in corporate these days. It's like proof that you're dedicated, loyal, a team player. Think about it. When somebody asks you, how's work going? going? Have you ever said, great, everything's calm. I have a real sense of ease. I'm really on top of everything these days. I mean, no, people would probably be very confused if any of us ever answered like that. The only acceptable answer seems to be something along the lines of good, busy, but good. The word busy has to be in the answer somewhere, always. We've all said it. I said it for years. And then something shifted. I now do what I call ambition with ease and fun. It changed how I lead. It changed how I feel. It changed what I'm capable of. I create better results in less time, and so can you. Like I said, I've been informally coaching and advising friends and colleagues and even my direct report this way for years. And it just recently occurred to me this really should be a more formal part of my approach to leadership coaching. And so here we are. Now it is. I'm changing things up because I realized in recent conversations with people, everybody's exhausted. And part of that one is yes, the second job, the impression management, the self-protection, the self-preservation, the pretending, the performing to be someone you're not, but also it's because we take everything too freaking seriously. Like, it's just not that big of a deal. So if I can advise you to chill out, I think that will help as well. Here's another example of why I recently realized that I need to start talking about this more. There's a previous coworker. We were working together still at the time. We came out of a pretty tough meeting and we were messaging back and forth, and she was very stressed out about it. And one of the messages I sent her, it just said, stay in your lane, collect your paycheck. She was really stressed out because it was a very challenging, in her defense, it was a very challenging situation and it involved some historically difficult characters, shall we say. And, it was just kind of known they probably weren't going to change. So that was my way of telling her, don't take on their stuff. Do your job, do the best you can, and don't take on the weight of the world and try to solve all of these problems. There's only so much you can do. So I just sent her the message. I said, stay in your lane, collect your check. And what I didn't know at the time is she drew a picture on a Post-it note representing that quote. And it was just two straight lines with the dots down the middle representing the stay in your lane. It was a picture of a road and then a dollar sign. And we no longer work together, but we remain friends. And every once in a while, when she's having a bad day, I just get a text of a picture of this Post-it note of stay in your lane, collect your check. And it's just a fun little reminder of what I considered silly advice that stuck with her and she still uses years later. And so again, don't take things so seriously, and it might actually resonate with you, with your team, with your friends and colleagues at work. So it's just another little reminder is we should all be taking things a little bit less seriously, staying in our lane, collecting our paycheck. Again, don't stop caring, just maybe care a little bit less. So now I want you to be really honest with yourself and just imagine this. Is this you? You start your week already feeling behind, not because you didn't work hard last week. You did, probably harder than anyone on your team or any of your colleagues. But that mental work doesn't clock out when you do. It doesn't punch out for the weekend. You drive home every day mentally replaying all the conversations and all of the meetings. You're in the shower in the morning and you're thinking about the feedback that you've been avoiding with one of your direct reports for weeks. And you do that over and over again every single morning. You think, today I have to give that feedback. Today I have to give the feedback. Today I have to give the feedback. And it just compounds. You wake up between 2 and 3 every single morning and you start the to-do list in your head before you're even fully awake. And then you don't fully fall back to sleep. You've got self-doubt whispering, maybe even shouting all the time. Am I really qualified for this? Even though you've been doing the job really, really well for years. You have team members that need coaching and feedback, but you hold back because you are terrified that they're going to shut down or maybe even leave. So you just do it yourself because it's easier and faster than delegating. And at least if you do it yourself, you know it's going to be done right. You see leaders all around you who seem to thrive on full calendars and back-to-back everything. And some part of you thinks, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. Maybe real leaders are supposed to be this busy all the time. So you keep performing that level of busyness because at least being busy makes you feel like you belong. It makes you look like you belong. And underneath all of it, the overworking, the overthinking, the self-doubt, the isolation, there's this feeling bottling up confusion like, I know I'm capable, I know I'm smart, so why does this feel so hard for me? If any of that landed, just know that's very normal, especially if you're an HSP, a highly sensitive person, or an introverted leader. What you're experiencing is not a character flaw. It is a completely predictable result of trying to lead inside a system that was not designed for your brain or your nervous system. Let me explain. Here's what's actually happening when you wear busy as a badge of honor. It's compensation. When you don't have a model for leading authentically as a highly sensitive or introverted leader, you default to the one thing that looks like effort from the outside: volume, more hours, more meetings, more output. But here's the truth. Busyness is not a leadership virtue. It's a coping strategy. And for leaders who process deeply, feel things intensely, and do their best thinking in the quiet, it is also the thing that is shutting down your greatest strengths. Your ability to read the room, see around corners, think strategically, and hold your team with real empathy, all of those require nervous system capacity. And nervous system capacity is exactly what chronic overwork destroys. So you end up in this cycle. The busier you are, the more dysregulated you are, the less access you have to that deep thinking and emotional intelligence that are your competitive advantages. The less access you have to those strengths, the more you begin to doubt yourself. And the more you doubt yourself, the harder you work, the more you work to compensate. This is not an ambition problem. It is not a time management problem. It's a regulation and an identity problem, and it is exactly what my framework was designed to solve. The framework I use in all of my leadership development and coaching programs with highly sensitive and HSP leaders is regulate, reframe, rise. And I want to talk you through each piece so you can see why the sequence matters. Regulate is first because it has to be first. You can't access a thought. You can't reframe a thought that you can't access when your nervous system is in fight or flight. You cannot lead a hard conversation when your body is in survival mode. You can't make good strategic decisions when you're running on 3 hours of broken sleep and you have 2 minutes between meetings all day long. And let me just say, regulation is not meditation as a hobby. It is foundational. It's the foundational work of learning how to manage your body's stress response, so you have the cognitive and emotional capacity to actually do your job well. For highly sensitive and introverted leaders, this is non-negotiable. It is not optional. This is what I have built the Soothe Set pillar around in the Alchemist Leader Lab. These are tools that work with your nervous system, not against it. When you start to regulate, something shifts. You stop surviving your work week, you start actually showing up for it. You stop waking up at 2 a.m. ruminating because you actually know how to wind down from your day. You stop dreading Monday mornings because you're not already depleted before they start. Next is reframe. That's the mindset piece. And here's where it gets really interesting, because the stories you're telling yourself, stories like, I need to be busy to be credible. If I give that feedback, they're gonna quit. I can't trust anyone else to do this. Those stories are not facts. They feel like facts, but they are not. And when your nervous system is regulated, you can actually see stories for what they are: just stories, not facts. And you can start to replace those stories with thoughts that are actually useful and true. Things like, I'm a better leader when I'm not overwhelmed. Giving my team honest feedback is one of the most respectful things I can do for them. Delegating is not abandoning. It's developing. That shift from the old story to the new story, that's where confidence starts to come back. That's where imposter syndrome starts to lose its grip. Not because you've convinced yourself of something false, but because you finally stopped believing something that was never true in the first place. Last, we have rise. This is where the skill set piece comes into play. Once your nervous system has capacity and your mindset is working for you instead of against you, things like communication strategies and influence framework, those things actually stick, because now your brain isn't trying to keep you safe. You're actually free to learn and lead. This is where you go from thinking I have to do everything myself to actually being excited to coach and develop your team. From avoiding difficult coaching conversations to actually knowing and believing that giving them difficult feedback is the most caring thing that you can do for them. From reacting to your week to designing it intentionally around how your energy actually works. Rise isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about finally becoming fully who you already are. I want to tell you what this looks like when it's working, because I think some part of you has been told or has told yourself that you can't do ambition with ease, that ambition and ease cannot coexist, that if you're not stressed, you're not serious, that if you're not busy, you're not contributing. So let me show you what it looks like on the other side. You leave work on Friday and you actually leave, not just physically, but mentally. You're present at dinner. You're in the moment with the people that you love. You sleep all the way through the night because your nervous system actually knows how to wind down. And you're not worried about getting in trouble if you don't respond to the Slack message at 10 p.m. You walk into high stakes meetings feeling calm and grounded instead of braced and ready for impact. Not because the stakes aren't real, they are, but because you have the tools to regulate your nervous system before you walk through the door. And because you know deep down that nothing truly life altering is at stake. You no longer feel external pressure to speak just for the sake of speaking. And when you do speak, it carries weight, not because you've gotten louder, but because you've gotten clearer. You give your team member the feedback they have needed for months. And it goes better than you could have ever expected because you deliver it with care and specificity. And that showed. And afterward, you feel proud of yourself, not just relieved that you finally got it over with. You stop measuring your value by how full your calendar is and start measuring it by the quality of your thinking and how much you're actually enjoying your experience of leadership, the results that you're creating, the value of what you're contributing to your team and your organization, even the depth of your relationships with your colleagues and your boss. It's even more exciting. You start to notice something strange. You're getting more done, more meaningful things in less time because you are no longer spending so much time perfecting presentations, reworking emails to make sure everything is just right. You're no longer wasting time and energy worrying about what other people are thinking about you, ruminating and replaying conversations for hours after they happen. You're not doing the work your team should be doing because you've been avoiding delegating it. You finally stop feeling like an imposter and start feeling exactly like you should. A deeply capable leader who just needed a framework built for how you actually work. That is what Regulate, Reframe, Rise is designed to do. Not someday, not after you've finally figured it all out, but today, starting right now. I'll leave you with this. Wearing busy as a badge of honor is not a leadership strategy. It is a survival strategy. You are too talented, too capable, and too close to the impact that you are meant to make to keep surviving when you could be leading. Ambition with ease isn't the soft option. It is the sustainable option. And for highly sensitive and introverted leaders, it's actually the high performance option because your best thinking, your most powerful presence, your deepest influence, none of that is available when you're running on fumes. If this resonated with you today, this is what I'd love for you to do. First, grab my free resource. It's called Lead Powerfully Without Pretending. It's a 10-minute guide. It's going to walk you through 2 of the 3 steps, regulate and reframe. So that is enough to get you started. It's link in the description. You can grab it there. And remember, Alchemist leaders don't just adapt to challenges, they transform them. So take a moment today and ask yourself, what is the alchemy opportunity here? What does this make possible? Keep turning your unique perspectives into leadership gold. I will see you next week.